It's holiday season, which means it's time to bring the family closer together, whether that's for better or for worse. But before we get into Christmas, let's throw it back to Thanksgiving, right? The warm-up of arguments, some might say. The entree before the main dish, the undercard before the main title. I think that's how it is. I don't know. I don't watch fighting. Some people might find this time of year stressful, and although that may be the case for a lot of people, for me personally, I'm a stand-up comedian, so I go into these events with open eyes, with such optimism, because I know if shit goes down, it's going to be a whole bunch of great new material that I can write jokes about. What's going on, party people? How are you all doing? And welcome to the 12 days of YAPMAS. And on the first day of YAPMAS, I bring to you Thanksgiving arguments. I spent a lot of time searching online, trying to find the best arguments and the craziest stories that people have from Thanksgiving. And although I definitely booked a point with my therapist afterwards, I thought I'd share some with you. But before we get any further, press subscribe, because for every subscriber that we get, another uncle gets a whole turkey thrown at him.
Jesus didn't say, love thy neighbor unless they're gay.
No, but the Bible does say that it is an abomination for a man to lie
Adam
with
and
another
Eve,
man.
not Adam and Steve.
Shut up, Joe. Leah and I have already talked about your search history. We all know that you love lesbians.
I love that so many family members are now going just like completely gloves off with their relatives and throwing shade right back at them in such a public arena. It's one thing to be called out like that, but it's another thing to be called out like that at a family event where there might be kids around. You might have to explain the law behind your uncle's search history a little bit. It's going to be character building and traumatizing for everybody involved. I want to see what the kids are like in 10 years time, what they retained from like these kinds of interactions with family members, you know, where do they sit on the scale? Whose side are they on? That's what I want to know. I don't want to dive too much into my personal life because I don't have the balls that these people do to film their family interactions and put them on blast for the world to see. But I will say, every time I see my dad, I might say something that I know will spark an argument. And it's like, as soon as the words come out of my mouth, I'm just like, why did I say that? Why did I say that? Now I got to clock in for a shift. This is going to be a fucking 8-hour interaction of family arguments now. You spend the whole day trying to avoid it, and then that one thing that you say is the catalyst of arguments for the rest of the day.
So you still failing them classes?
You still letting that man beat on you?
Oh my God. That's too far, man. You know? Calm down.
It wasn't too far when you was out giving STDs. Oh, now I'm tripping.
I think it's one thing to have an argument with your family members during Thanksgiving, but then it's another to record it and post that shit online. You're putting them on blast in the privacy of a home, but also in the public arena of digital footprints. Some people might be like job hunting, and then they see this shit and they're like, oh, so that's what you do? Damn, might have to reconsider that job promotion, you know what I'm saying? In all honesty, this is kind of where I'm at with my family, purely because I'm in my 30s. I'm a grown-ass person, okay? If someone says something out of pocket, I'm gonna call it out as it is. But also, I live on the other side of the world from my family, so sometimes I'm a little menace, and I'll go in, stir a little drama myself, drop a bomb, drop a little drama, and then I just fly for 16 hours to the other side of the world. And I get to do that once a year. I know people talk a lot about how like your frontal lobe fully develops at like, 25 or something like that. I think people need to talk about the second part of your frontal lobe fully developing. When you realize as an adult how independent you are and you're like, you know what? I can just say the craziest shit that I want to, call my family out on all the crap that they say, and I'm just gonna go home. As simple as that. I'm just gonna go home. You guys deal with this. Talk to your therapist or whatever. I've done my therapy. Have you done yours? I'm out of here. Cousin, 18, got knocked up by a man older than her dad, a preacher. I mean, are we really surprised? Cousin's baby daddy is now in jail for trafficking drugs. He was on parole at the time of his arrest for other drug charges. Man, this preacher, he's badass, okay? If I went to church, I'd kind of want him to be my preacher. He'd be like saying some crazy shit up on that stage. And also, after the ceremony, give me like a little extra. You know how you get like the little wafer of Jesus? Just Give me a little extra underneath the table. She's delusional and thinks her baby daddy will be getting out soon and they will stroll off into the sunset and live happily ever after. Her life is a soap opera and I live for it. Again, I'm going to keep my family dynamic out of it, but I can relate to some crazy shit like this. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. I love that family arguments do get to that point though. There's like this back and forth going and then someone just snaps and they say something like in the previous video of like, hey, this is your search history. Shut up. I want to know what goes through everyone's mind during that silence though. That's what I'm interested. I want to know what you're thinking about. Drop a comment down below. What do you think about during the silence after your family arguments?
My brother's getting engaged to a girl that my parents don't like.
My Thanksgiving drama is that my grandpa recently told us that he's dating a woman younger than my mom.
My Thanksgiving drama is that my grandma and uncle are having disagreements over who is going to be cooking and where we're getting the food from.
I love the scale of different arguments that Thanksgiving brings, and you can kind of see where people are at with their family dynamics. Like if you have a group chat with your family, for example, people might think, oh, you're pretty close with your family, and that may be the case, so your arguments are pretty mild. You guys are arguing about who's cooking the food, who's gonna host, who's bringing the drink, simple stuff like that. More complex dynamics, you get things like, my grandpa is dating someone younger than my mom. Like, that's wild. My nephew was saying the in the club, we all fam thing, and asked my uncle, are you racist at the end? And he said, yes, I am. And if you have a problem with it, get out. Oh my God. I love that family members are going mask off on whatever side of the political spectrum that they land on, because that is such a wild thing to say. Again, that goes back to my point of sometimes when I say things, I'm like, I just know my dad's going to say something racist now. That's what that kid learned in that moment now. So now they know at some point, I better not say this, otherwise it's going to set him off. It's pretty obvious that the election definitely rocked a lot of families. I think that's very obvious off the top. I think it's insane for Americans to idolize politicians. That's a whole other thing in of itself. I don't think they realize other countries don't idolize the people that lead their countries. You're like, hey, just do your fucking job. I saw a video of everyone doing the Trump dance and they had a cutout of Trump in the living room as well, and they were all doing the Trump dance around him. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You wouldn't do that to your boss, so why the fuck are you doing that to the president?
Our Indigenous People Day, we do not celebrate Thanksgiving because we don't celebrate the slaughter of the indigenous people and all the rape and the child molestation and the murder that happened to people that was greeted with love.
Preach, Dad. You grew up with the right parents. Maybe they're progressive. Maybe they haven't been progressive the entire time. And then they just switched it up later in life when they realized that, you know, they were wrong. I love that this is like the opposite side of the spectrum where it could be also annoying how progressive your parents want to be. And you're there, you just want to like film the spread. Film the Thanksgiving spread. And then they start spewing out this and it's like, look, okay, we get it. We get it. You're not racist anymore. But like, I just want to take this photo, okay? Just chill out.
Sometimes I just need to think deep down in my heart that, you know, I'm great, that I should be grateful for everything I have. And sometimes...
This kid really wants those V-Bucks for Christmas. He might have had his PlayStation taken away from him or his PC, and he's like, I need to put on the performance of a lifetime to get these consoles back and to get my V-Bucks for Christmas. Respect for this kid, man. And honestly, I think that's enough going down a trip of trauma of other people's families. Most of y'all need therapy, but I understand it's quite expensive. So drop a comment down below on the Thanksgiving arguments and holiday arguments that your family has. Any wild ones, I'd really appreciate it, and I'll do my best to be your therapist. Might be a part 2 to this. We're still on day 1 of YAPMAS, so very early days. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 2 of YAPMAS.